So, I experience my perception is all based on music. My thinking's on music. I have music playing in my head at a constant rate. And it's not uncommon for me to channel what I call people's soul songs, which is essentially like uh, it's like a musical interpretation of a person's resonant frequency. Sometimes it speaks of a story of the past, or sometimes it speaks of their current resonant frequency.
Uh-huh.
And subsequently, I often, to honor those who have passed, sometimes I produce a requiem for them, which is like it's a compendium of their entire life put into a song.
Nice. Do you have any of those on file at all?
I have some things recorded on my SoundCloud, just recorded on a cell phone, so they're not, but
Do you want
but
to
some,
send me here like a little,
yeah, I'll send you a link
okay.
to some of my stuff on SoundCloud. I think you may or
That'll
may
be
not like it, but
well,
the
yeah, it is, that's an interesting thing, like may or may not like it. I'm moving so rapidly through how I want people to like everything about me and everything I say. And then I have to back up and go, but Renata, you have to like everything about you and you have to like everything you say. That's how that works first.
right, no.
Oh my
I
gosh, I spent my
certainly,
whole
I
life.
cer
I spent my
I
whole life.
certainly like them for sure. Sometimes, some people really do like my pieces, even though they're so unpolished and so poorly produced.
Yeah.
My
Well, because it's not,
but
you're not doing a professional recording, so you don't have to get
no,
like
it's
that. So
on
I
my
get you.
cell phone.
You're preferencing it, but I get you.
I
It's like
think
good enough.
sure, for sure. But and then also I have no formal, I went to Tacoma School of the Arts, and but I have no formal training in, I don't know, I can't read and write music, and I have no formal training on the structure of music. So my songs are very, sometimes people will be like, "Oh, well, you went 3/3/4 and then you went 2/2/4." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know none about that. It just came out. That's how it came out." You know, uh, sometimes I feel like if I were to get formal training, it would interrupt my creative process. So, that's kind of where we're at with that. But
Well,
the
that's why Devin, that's what they call the universe, right?
yes,
Universe, and so
right.
everybody's part of the universe, and
The
all of us are music.
universe.
All of us are
Right.
music. Yeah.
But I wanted to share with you
Yes.
my
Yes. Please.
vision because it was pretty profound, and it
Yes.
led
Thank you.
to some really nice focal points, I think, uh, for the show. So here was my vision. So every once in a while, I will get vision. Well, not every once in a while, all the time, actually, I get
I got
visions like
you.
this.
I got you.
Um, and it always starts with a music. It always starts with a song that I'll hear, and the song will turn into a story. And so Tuesday morning, I had this song come in to my mind. It was playing. It's a beautiful song. It's a song I've heard many other times. It always seems to have divine connotations, but it started playing, and I saw the vision when I started seeing things. I was seeing flowers growing from seed to flower in an instant, almost like a time lapse. I was seeing plants go from dead to green. I was seeing everything spring back to life, and so I interpreted that as the vision was pointing me towards springtime. But I could be wrong on that. But that's how the vision started. I was seeing seeds, flowers grow from seed to flower, and then I saw this enormously bright light come from the east, and it shined. It was like a very strong, very focal light. uh kind of like a masculine energy to it. It was very pointed. It was very ray like, like the rays of
Mhm.
the sun. And it came from the east, and it just kind of flooded the entire land, and it was kind of harsh and bright. And then it kind of cooled down a little bit and took the form of, it became fog like a soft rolling fog. And this soft, it was a light that was a fog, and it was a soft rolling fog. And it came and it very gently swept the land along the ground, and everything it touched, it inspired. And I just saw people getting swept by this very gentle illuminated fog. And as
I
it
got my
passed,
hand raised. I got to interrupt
Oh,
you.
oh,
I got to interrupt you because it's like that rolling fog yesterday. It was so awesome. It was like gray with pink and blue. And George and I comment like, look at that, how pretty that is.
oh,
You-
that's definitely notable.
Yeah, it was so like you're
We've
talking
been getting
about
a lot of fog.
you had that vision of that fog rolling, and that's what
So
that
yes,
felt yesterday. Go ahead. I just had to say that. Like, cool.
right. No, absolutely. So I saw this light as a rolling, gentle rolling fog, and it rolled along the landscape. And as it moved through every living thing, it inspired it. And I saw people who, before the fog hit them, they were sitting there like, oh, all the anti-Semitism and oh, World War, yada yada yada, all this modern day kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when the fog moved through them, it was like an inspiration moved through them. And once it passed through them, they immediately lost all interest in all those things. They're like, oh, I don't, I don't, I don't really care about all that anymore. I feel inspired. I
Mm,
want to dance an interpreted dance about the whales in the ocean, and it was this gentle light as a rolling fog, and
yes.
as it moved through everything, it inspired it, and uh, everyone's priorities had changed by way of that inspiration as it moved through them, and subsequently, from that subsequent influx of inspiration, all those matters that these people are kind of keeping alive just kind of dissolved and faded away. All the wars dissolved, all these lower order things just kind of dissolved because everyone lost interest in them because they got so moved by this inspiration that moved through them like a slow rolling fog. And that was my vision. And uh
Let's take
and
a
it was
breath
very
with that one. That was amazing.
right. Well, and now mind you, as I'm seeing this, it has this beautiful music that goes with it. It's very cinematic and very beautiful. And it, it was uh it was just incredible, and I was inspired just seeing it, and from that inspiration, so I saw um so I thought, how great would it be, we have you have all these influencers these days, you have all these shows, and they all talk about, oh, this and that, and this happened in the House and the Senate, and this and that, and they're all kind of sharing these current events. And a lot of them, even though they have the best intentions, are kind of mirroring some of the, darker aspects of current events, right?
Yeah.
How great would it be if we were a mirror of some of the good events that are going on? Like we get that all that other stuff's going on, but this is also going on, right? There's these things going on because I see inspiring things all the time, like, oh, a woman on her deathbed, you know, uh, has a near death experience and now she's feeding the homeless. Things like that. These like, yeah, we get that there's a war here and we get that, but we're a mirror for, also the positive changes, because there is balance and there are two sides to every coin. And to be a mirror for that inspiration that I see coming over the land, and being kind of a
Yeah, no,
because
exactly.
because
Exactly.
joy is multiplied through sharing.
Joy is multiplied through sharing. So just taking like a moment to reflect on all that, that's pretty cool. I have my hand up because I wanted to say something about that, Devin, because that is
Yeah.
exactly what I was talking about this morning to a friend, that all the I'll call it soothsaying, truthers and all of that. And it's a wonderful thing that you can connect with different streams of information where people dive deeply, you know, it's a good thing. And then you can delete things and you're not forced to choose to listen to that. That's a great thing. But I too feel that not enough people are focused on how do we shift that collective energy, which is what I feel you're talking about, that collective energy of what we dump into, what we take from all the time. Let's go deposit a lot of love, a lot of uniting, like overload it, like make it overflow, make it be like that rolling fog that you saw, because we are the grassroots movement that does that. I believe that so strongly. We're creating a new earth, we're creating a new timeline. this has never happened before. And what you shared is super prophetic.
Right.
Really. It really is.
Right.
So this
Truly.
we could do that. I totally agree. Let's high five.
Well, and I often I speak, I encounter a lot of people who are really um disenfranchised and almost hopeless in a way. And I've personally never lost that hope because I've always had these visions of an incredibly bright future, and I feel incredibly optimistic about the future. Even in the midst of the pandemic, they're like, "Oh, the world," and I was like, "I feel very optimistic. I see a very bright future." And they
I
always
love that.
they always ask me, their response is always like, well, and I'm like, there's also a lot of good stuff happening. They're like, well, what good stuff? What evidence is that there is good stuff? And I was like, what if part of our show is answering that question? Well, here is some of the good stuff. Here is some of
You're
the
here.
positive
You're
change.
here. Maybe that's part of the first, like, what is the good stuff? And be like, well, you're here.
Right. Right.
Oh,
You're
right.
alive.
No, well, you're a part of this. You're a part of this new making. What do you got to
Yeah.
add to it? You're part of it,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah. You are part of this new making. Okay. That was a complete sort of thought there, and I love that. And Devin, that was 25 minutes and 7 seconds because I timed you. Just so that yeah, isn't that interesting?
That explanation or the whole, just our whole
When I
recording?
said when I said I started recording.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we got to how did that feel for you to take a thought and then pretty much run it to the end? I interrupted. I mean, I had a couple, thoughts in between by raising my hand. Does that feel
Hmm.
like a good flow for you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because that's a big part of it. I like uh to add snippets. Like I could
Yeah.
do an opening, and I could totally present something in a way, but I do feel that you've got a nice knack for talking about different things that have happened to you, and then I can jump off of that. So that
Hmm. Hmm.
and if I feel so inspired at some time there's something that I can say I'll take the lead kind of thing, then you will know, right? Like I've got a
Yeah.
good story. Like
Yeah.
sharing um your prophetic dream was pretty important, so that deserves that amount of time. So just
Yeah.
pacing and not planning too much, but more so working with each other so that we can tell and we can read each other. So can you see on the bottom of your reactions, like when my hand is raised?
Yeah, I can see your hand raised.
Okay. So when someone gives a heart, because we may have one where we have, a lot of people join in, right?
Hmm.
And in fact, I'll see if I can't send you the Saturday group that I'm in. We did a live, just there was three of us. Sometimes there's six, but it just occurred to me again right now, right off the bat. I'm gonna say it for the fourth time, duh, that we totally could do do our podcast like this. I mean, because
Oh,
really,
for sure.
it's just interviewing each other, but then we're coming together in agreement on um yeah, let's love it up. Let's put some more of that out there. Even encouraging people on the call or on the show or however we post it in different ways. It's like, yeah, um, next time you're at the gas station or next time you're at the store, take a moment and notice that person's name and just start a random conversation like, hey, how are you? Happy
Right.
holidays, Merry Christmas, happy day.
You
Smile.
know, I had some of the most interesting conversations when I worked at the gas station.
Oh, I bet you did. Conversations
One,
at the gas station. Wait, that now let's get some titles here because that would be conversations at the gas station.
you really missed your calling as a marketer, I'm telling you.
No, it's right here. I'm using it
I
for
know, just
myself.
I mean it as a figure of speech, not quite so literally.
I understand what you're saying, but even the figures of speech get to get redone, don't they?
Oh,
And I
yes.
just took that. I just took that in as like, you're right. Actually, I'm pretty good at that, aren't I?
Phenomenal. Well, and you're always seeing everything through that lens, so it's just such a natural,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just so
How
natural
can
for
we
you.
how can we share this? How can we share this? How can we share this? That's all what I'm on. How can we share this? It's good. It's here now. How can we share this? How can we share this? How can we up it? How can we push it out more? How can we share this? How can we say this? How can we show this? How can we be this? That's what I'm really,
Right.
that's it.
Right.
How can you shift that? How can you let that go and make it be this way? How do you
Right.
create this story? That's that really with everything for the experience, so it's more purified.
Absolutely.
Conversations because the show has to highlight what both you and I do.
Sure.
So I mean I might be conversations at the store and we'll know we're talking about Crystal Spirit and I give them a little plug and we love that store. And you're talking about conversations at the gas station, you're not there anymore, but I sure love. See how cool that is? Because this just needs to be about you and I and our experience. That's the other thing that if I can say so clearly and see how it sounds, just gets into my little crawl that makes me just really own my forte. I am queen and king of my own motherfucking castle. How dare you not pay attention to what I say?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm checking that out and like honoring all parts of that and like why not get on and do your thing? You're tired of listening to other people with their waka 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 waka. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm like, well, let's do
Right.
your own waka 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 waka. And then
No,
people
and
might
the
go, what?
I remember one conversation particular. Oh, you froze.
You froze. I'm fluid. You're freezing. And we're still recording. You froze and it's good. Kevin's frozen. And sometimes we just freeze just like that. The grid is not stable. It is not reliable. And it's so important to start your own energetic grid, your own tribal grid, your rainbow grid, where you know that your people are solid. That's what I'm saying. Here he comes again.
Oh,
I
I lost my internet.
Yeah, I know.
I
You have to just
recently
you
here. No, this
that's
will be
okay.
better.
Yeah,
I
and that
recently
and
I
that's part.
relapsed I relapsed on my smoking about a month ago, so please excuse me. I won't do this on this
Okay, so you totally cut out again. And then when we come back, let's just talk about what you shared about the okay. So you froze
Okay.
again when you went out, and I heard you say that you what did you call it? Relapse?
I relapsed on smoking about a month ago. I'm about to quit again though.
Oh, it's fine. I don't care. I'll enjoy it with you. When I finally decide to let that go, I occasionally after a while, I would like, oh, I would imagine birds flying. And then they would say, "Oh, let's take a break," and they'd stop on the wires and they'd pull out a cigarette. They like on their way to Florida, and it would just make me laugh so much, and it would just shift the desire.
Wow.
I had a
I love
nasty.
that.
I know I had a nasty. I smoked for years. Like my mom was a nurse and she smoked, and I had friends that smoked, and we were all in conflict about it, all total in conflict about it. Like, all the advertised. Let's talk about this for a minute because these kind of conflicting notions mess people up. And let's clear it right now. Okay. You
Okay.
bought that. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go with this one and you enjoy your cigarette. So it seems to me right off the bat, that when you indulge in something or do something that brings you pleasure, then that's a great thing. Except when you go, I shouldn't be doing this. That causes conflict. So
Yeah.
there's no pain, there's no gain, there's no pleasure, there's no smile, there's nothing. It just cancels out the energetic experience. It's nothing. So I decided that if I'm going to do something, I should enjoy it thoroughly and then, like, and then not be in conflict. So, and that's what I say to
Right.
people, whatever you do, just enjoy it. You're fine. There's no one up there judging us for anything. It's just us with us.
Oh yeah.
And I
No,
do it.
I that's yeah.
It's my turn to talk. You and I may have to do that and make a joke out of it, like the
Oh,
talk.
and that's completely okay.
Yeah. So let me finish. So I recall when we first moved down here 20 years ago that George became not well, sick, and we didn't have anybody to go to. So I found an acupuncturist, old time guy, and he was like 85 or something, Dr. Kitchen. He's pretty cool. He hooked George up to some electrodes and had him in the treatment room and some did some points and some work. Dr. Kitchen and I went out in the alley just to have a break, and he squatted down. He was a short little guy. He squatted down, and he got in his pocket his cigarettes and put one in, started to light. And he looked at me and said, "Yeah, lots of green tea." And I'm like, I was so done with any sort of conflict I had. I mean, it totally confirmed. So what I say to people, if you're going to do something, enjoy it. If it's destroying your, your physical health, then of course you want to look at that. But it's an energetic consequence. It just is. I just have had that mindset for so long, um, that I wanted to just not do that anymore. That was pretty much it. I just like, I enjoy the heck out of it. And sometimes I'll watch people, oh, they make that look so good.
Right.
And then I kind of like, oh, then I tell myself, okay, the part of me that still enjoys that that enjoys that period, then you can just energetically take that and let that part of you enjoy that. And then, ask that part of you that really wants that, embrace to erase, you need more. And sometimes
That's
she'll
good.
say, no, that's good. And then I'm done with the story. I respin the story, I embrace it to erase it, and it poof, it's like magic. But it doesn't matter that you choose to, physically,
Sure.
it's a non-issue, but a lot of people make it an issue. That's what I'm
Right.
saying. The issue isn't the
And
tissue.
right. Well, and in fighting it, they feed it.
Right. So embrace to erase. That's another,
No, it's so true. So
and then so
true.
that's conversation at the gas station. I could be the embrace to erase. That could be my favorite thing because I'm really, that just dovetails on everything that I think about in my life and how I spin a new story.
Well, and that visualization you described is a perfect example of that practice where you shift the energy like, oh, I see little birds and they're on the wire, they're gonna go to Florida. Oh,
I know. And that's what I love about you so much because I can think of little things that you do since I met you that, like I see the real you, or it's just how you express. And I love that. Like when you put that jacket on, you're like, well, this jacket's walking like this, and I like, oh, that's so, and that smile, I love that. And so this whole exchange is what we're sharing with people. This authentic exchange with no agenda other than to get other people to go, those guys are so fucking nuts. Yes, we are. And so are you because you're
right.
nuts. You know what I mean? We'll see you next week. And boom, done. And then ooh, marketing. Ooh, you got me inspired. Look at this. I'm like my podcast muse is like, well, this is what we're wearing today for sure, Renata. And Goddess Renata's like, okay, we'll just wear this then. This is kind of cute. It just came together. And this is good. This is very solid. And
Well, and
it,
I had,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
Okay.
You got the
No,
mic.
I had, it was very interesting at the gas station because I had many serendipitous encounters because, I described to you how, my whole like spiritual team and all that is really involved in my work as a caregiver. And they were very involved in my work at the gas station too, because I would have individuals come to my counter who I just knew I was meant to talk to. I had one really interesting encounter with a young man. He uh, he came in. He had a very interesting aura about him,
Mhm,
um, and I kind of recognized his sort of mindset from a younger version of myself.
mhm, mhm,
And he came in and it was so weird. It wasn't, I guess, not weird, but uh, it was almost like somehow he knew I was someone that would have this dialogue with him. And he says to me, um, he says, what did he say? I don't know how we got on it. Somehow we got on this topic of light and dark. And he goes, well, what if I'm, and he had this really kind of really dark aura about him.
uh-huh.
He goes, what if I'm not light or dark? I was like, okay, what about it? He goes, well, what if I serve the devil and I serve God? And I said, well, listen. And all of a sudden the words just came through me like I was like, it was like word vomit. I was like, well, listen. I was like, you're either one or the other, but you cannot be lukewarm. So you must make a decision. Are you going to serve the darkness in you or are you going to serve the light? Which one are you going to feed? He's like, well, what if I want to serve both? I was like, honey, the universe hates lukewarm. And you're either one or the other. And you're either and whether you think you're in the middle or not, you're fooling yourself because you need to choose. You can't stand in the middle. And he was like, well, what does that mean? I was like, well, what is the quintessential meaning of the light and dark? What's the quintessential meaning between what distinguishes both? I ask you that question. And he says, well, one is one, satiates the body and one you know, sacrifices the body. I was like, well, perhaps you could think of it that way. Perhaps you could think of it as the dark is service to self and the light is service to others. And he was like, well, what do you mean service to others? I was like, well, it means valuing that community, valuing everyone like a family member, whereas the darkness is valuing yourself like your own little island who needs to triumph over all the other little islands. And he was like, I was like, so how can one serve both? How can one both defend their little island and triumph over all the little islands and, be a family, a cohesive community and serve others? Can't you see it's a paradox? They're mutually exclusive. You need to choose one or the other. You need to
Well,
serve yourself or you need to serve others. You can't stand in the middle.
did you remember if did he feel that?
He was, it definitely
Or
gave
mess
him
him up?
pause.
Okay.
It gave him pause. But I can't, I'm not sure if it shifted his perception at all, but it definitely gave him something to think about. But he
It's
was,
in there. You planted
he
that
was,
seed.
a seed went in there.
Yeah.
What happened with that seed, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I feel you. That was deep. I love the topic. And you said, and word vomit. But I love that. I love that phrase because it's not even vomit at all, but I get you. It's like so much
sure.
comes out and you're like, where in the heck did that come from? But yeah.
Right. It was
Oh,
like
then
the
that's
response
cute.
was
I
just
love it.
there.
That's a
Right.
that's a little nugget. That's a segment. And then with each
Yeah.
segment, then it's like a story. Maybe there's a
Yeah.
commercial. But
Sure.
we can go back and forth. I love that because you can segment easily. I can play
Yeah.
off of you. I got to talk a little about embrace to erase, and then oh, the word vomit. I love that. But service to others and service to selves, and so I'll pull that together, and then we can talk about how that like there's a billion ways to be service to others. Do you know what I mean? First,
Right.
being loving yourself is being service to others. Being really clear about who you are, not being in conflict, is service to you for your love. And then it assists others because you're not putting guck out into the collective.
Right. Well, and I've noticed that, the with those that have issue kind of with that paradigm, they're like, well, service to others. So I'm just, they think of humility as a complete self-sacrifice. Like they
Oh,
need to
they shouldn't have
flagellate
lost.
themselves
And
and
yeah,
they
yeah,
need
yeah,
to,
yeah,
and I've, really the paradigm shift in the perception to really understanding that is understanding, well, listen, if you view it this way, you view every nobody is a stranger. Every single person is family. Every single person is you. So how are you going to treat them under that umbrella of under that understanding that they are family, they are you, you are one? How are you then going to treat them? It's not about erasing yourself and making yourself so small and flagellating yourself and sacrificing everything. It's really about treating everyone with the inherent value and respect that you would offer to any family member who you love, or in that under that umbrella. It's
yeah.
understanding we are one community,
A
we are
lot of
one family.
Devin, a lot of people aren't loving their family members, let alone loving on themselves.
No, no,
And
that's
I
a
get
great point. That's a
I get
great
it.
point.
I get you on that. I mean, that law of reflection, the law of service to self and others, and then, these different laws, we can just bring them law of reflection because you started to talk about that. And so, I'll just bring it into something like that and then we'll just keep the conversation going because that's really true.
Right,
It's like when people start to own um, the good, bad, and ugly and all in between of themselves, then they can like stop being in conflict. It's okay to want to have your own stuff and not share, especially if you grew up in a family where you had to share all the time. That would be a natural thing. Or you were the
sure,
last child, the middle child, all of that stuff. We're not
sure.
talking about personality, but we are talking about universal principles that are in effect. They've always been in effect on this planet and throughout the galaxies.
Right,
That idea of knowing what it means, service to self and service to others, and the idea of the law of reflection, that's super important. We can make
right.
some books for sure, But once you plant a seed, people are pointed in the direction of more water always to grow and nurture. And if not,
Yeah.
you wither and die. It's okay. It's a choice. And then you recycle again, right? So
Right.
we're only watering and nurturing, and then, watering and nurturing, right?
Right. Well, and that service to self is really, it always comes with this competitive mindset. Like you need to triumph, and you're always alone in that mindset, and you're always alone in that intention. And the flip side of that, service to others, you lose that competitiveness, and it's more about um being cohesively supporting this community, and not you don't have to be an island. You don't have to be this empire that needs to triumph over everyone. It's not about that. And it becomes so much more harmonious in that sense. And the pressure of that competition is relieved. And that's where, those that choose that path of service to others, they always inevitably find uh that wisdom eventually. And that leads me, oh, what a great segue. That leads me to another great point, which is another common statement, or kind of thing that a lot of people who are very disenfranchised and hopeless say, is they say, "Oh, why is the world uh, so wicked? The world's so wicked; it's overwhelming. Why are there all these wicked people?" And I say to them, I say, um, "Because we need them. We need an antagonist in this story, and as long as we need an antagonist, we're going to have them. Without an antagonist, there is no motivation for the protagonist to do all the amazing things that the protagonist does without the antagonist. These people are fulfilling a role, they're serving a purpose, and they are not an accident, they are not a mistake. And the moment we no longer need them, they will no longer exist. They are a valid part of the story. And in retrospect, I'm sure we've all been the antagonist at some point, but at the end of the day, we all take off our costumes and we all return to the same place.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, right? Eventually, we all return home eventually. And, the dark path is a valid path, and it always inevitably leads to the wisdom that, holy cow, they always eventually get to the point where they're like, I cannot go forward without unifying. It's the only way. It was always the only way. And they always eventually realize that, not necessarily in one life, but it goes into that concept. It was very, it was very eye-opening for me when I was reading The Law of One.
Oh, I know, the law of one. And so I want to just tie something together. You're talking about, we left the topic of service to others and service to self, and we had a couple of key words for people to understand. Service
Yeah,
to others is about honoring your humility, because that's really where everything is great. Because you've earned the wisdom. You understand when yeah, you get it. And service to self is that kind of that word we had that word compete, where we have that sense of competition. And so that's
right,
kind of a nice little, to tie that in a nice little nutshell. When you feel like you're competing, yeah, the competition kind of goes away. And when you kind of go, I get it, so then you're willing to, like the kid in the playground, instead of making fun of them, you're like, I get it. You might even decide to stand up a little bit. That may be a real
right,
action-oriented thing. But even inside of your heart, even if you are not able to take action physically, you can look at that and go, wow, I just saw how not to be. Wow. Okay.
right. Well, and that competition comes with so
Yeah,
much pressure. It
doesn't
comes
it?
with so much pressure,
And
this
then
constant stress,
And then I would challenge our listeners, Devin, to just taking that little concept, of humility and that aha that comes from, oh, wow, there's a time when I would have done that differently.
Right,
Notice how often that reflection can show up for you when you allow that in, you know? We're not talking about leaving your job or your current relationship or really anything. All we're saying is that you shift the story on the inside, the lens by which you see things, and the whole outside world shifts for you. It doesn't matter what particular religion you come from, or whatever your ascribed philosophy is in life. live that philosophy, be as that religion is for you. But it seems to me that, as you've studied many different ways and many different paths as I have as well, that love is the dominant theme,
Yeah.
and then, darkness just is, it's part of the light, you
Well,
know?
and when we look at the examples that have been set for us by all the greatest spiritual teachers that we have record of, they always their response to how to deal with your antagonist, how to face that darkness, their response is always bless it. And the moment you can
That's it.
bless it and forgive it and say, you know what, I respect that's who you are. I honor our oneness. That's the moment you no longer need the antagonist because the
That's it.
antagonist, the power the antagonist has over you is completely relative to the amount you allow it to have. And the moment it has no power over you, the moment you can say, you know what, I respect that. I respect you. I honor you. I bless you. I forgive you for all those things because I know that that's not really you. I know that you're truly created out of pure love and everything else is just a bunch of bullshit you've added onto it. I honor that. I respect that. You do you. I'm going to do me. Um, right now, you're doing you a little too, you're just a little toxic for me. So I'm going to do me over here, but I respect that and I honor
Yeah,
you.
and that distinction there, that's, it's like self-preservation, self-thriving, um, continues to happen when you are supported and nurtured by the energies around you and the things you plug into. So I just put a timer. So that was actually 30, that up to this point, that was actually 30 minutes from when I
Okay.
said record to now. So just so we kind of know how that feels, but we can keep just recording so that we can
Yeah.
play with that. So that was a 30-minute, and we did here, let's stop for a second and recap. So we kind of have
Sure.
so we did disenfranchisement a little bit, and then what got us going was the conversations at the gas station. I love that. And then that gave you some really interesting things to share. And then we had a word vomit section, was words of wisdom. And I like that we can call it channeled. I love it, but word vomit's kind of funny,
Uh-huh.
but it is about making this serious, um, but funny and tangible and doable. I mean, all of it rolled up into one. No carrot dangling. It's like
Right.
we develop these philosophies because that's where we're at. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Right.
And a lot of people are where we're at, and they want to evolve and grow. That's the people that we're attracting.
Yes.
And then we
Well,
did embrace to erase. And then we did get off on we added service to others and service to self and the law of reflection. So we got a few topics in there in 30 minutes. So that could be like a closure. You know what I mean? So
sure.
yeah. Just let's see. When you do the recording, then you'll, go through and look and see. So now we're just
Well, and the topic of humility could be an entire show, defining humility, because a lot of people have a misperception of what that really looks like. They perceive it as a loss of self or a loss of self continuity, and it's really not, and so we could do a whole show on, the topic defining humility. What does humanity really look like? What is what is you know being humble really look like? Because it's neither beating yourself up, nor is it, it's this humility is not a loss of self. It's really an honoring of the value that we have for each other, and understanding that inherent equal value is really humility. We could do a whole show on defining humility.
ooh, that would be really boring.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that would be really boring. That'd be really way too heady and heavy, I think. But you can totally touch upon the idea of humility through your own life experiences. That would totally be more interesting to me.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then have people call in, because there's a segment on the show, so that the purpose of sharing some of the stories, the humility stories, is so people can like observe that, be in it, but not of it, and then we can clear that. I'm into that. To rehash however it is that you've gotten to where you're at, and to rehash where however I've gotten to where I'm at is boring. That's what everybody's doing. You don't have to prove anything about where you're at, and nor do I. So stepping your authority is just, here we are, just talking. Where do we come from? Just right here. We decided to just
Right.
come down and help because it's like, well, we're here. And now we have all this technology at our fingertips. And yeah, we're star seeds. Everybody else is jumping on board. So we decided to share our light. Here's how we do it. Here's how we roll. I want to stay focused on how Renata rolls, Goddess Renata, how God Devin rolls. I am not interested in any philosophy about books or any of that shit. It's boring.
Sure.
It's boring.
No, I
But
feel it.
you got that though. You
Yeah.
talk in that way. I love that about you. And we might have to have word of the day with you. You slapped a
Oh,
few words
sure.
on me like, oh fuck, I can look that up. So, but I just want to have the laughter. Like I want to
Yes.
laugh at myself. I want you to laugh at you, but
Yeah.
I want us to laugh at each other because that's what I want to share. Anything other than that, I'm not
Yeah.
fucking interested.
Yeah.
Boring. I'm doing
I get
boring
it.
already. I'm doing some hard work already.
I love it.
This is fun.
Yeah.
I want fun. Damn it.
Yes, yes, I agree.
I
Yes.
know you do. And and if we need to go outside with you while you have a smoke break, we will do that because that's real. Like we need real. We need fucking
Yes.
real. All this like this is my mask when I'm on the show. Fuck that shit.
Well, the more the mask you wear, the less relatable you are. People love to relate. They love to, they're like, I can relate to that.
They don't
That's
even know they
practical.
like that until they get that in their face. Like, oh, you're so
Yeah.
relatable. Yeah, thank you. And I look nothing like you or you or you. But what's relatable is that you're here because you want to grow too. We
Yeah.
put stuff up enough on here, so now we need to show up and like sparkle some light all around. And however
Yeah.
you do that is however you express. And you express
Right.
very well being Devin, and I express very well being Renata.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
We can
There you go.
we have a show already.
Yes, we do. We do.
We do. And then some of the other footage that we get out and about in the world would be cool. Um, Here's a second thought. While you're having a break. Um, we were down at the store, at Crystal, and I started this little round table in the corner, and little short storytelling, and that was cool. And then I thought, wow, what about at the next fair, we have a community mentoring circle, and it's free. People just and we limit. You got to sign up, and it's like maybe 30 people, and we put the chairs in that bigger room. And Debbie and Charlie will give us a space, and then people come in and share like this idea of psychics know and they've got the info. It's good, but you can't afford to pay me and have me come with you all the time and have a reader and a dowser and you've got to be able to get direct revelation yourself. And you've got some of it, else you would not be here. You wouldn't be here and intact, and you wouldn't be having too much joy because this is just a time when people are leaving. Boom, the energy is way too different. And so to open that dialogue up energetically, because they really want to do community service, but they got millions of dollars of inventory. So I'm like, to do both of that, like I want to help them out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a good platform, a good place. I mean,
Dude,
energies that anchor light. Well, stones do photon energy. Hello, photonic light.
right.
That's what crystals are all about. And gold. I ain't got any of that. And then my heart, I got a lot of that. And so do you.
Right.
Edie. Who's our
Oh,
first?
yes.
Who's
This
this?
is Gilly.
Who is it?
This is Gilly.
Gilly. Hi, Gilly. Are you going to be on camera? No, you're not being on camera today.
He was weaned a little too early from his mother, so he's trying to nurse on my neck right now. Hey, Gilly.
Oh, he needs a little education. This wrong spot. Oh, he said, how old
I
is
don't
Gilly?
got what you're looking for.
How old is Gilly?
He is 4.
Oh, hi,
He
Gilly.
was a feral cat, but now he's a tame cat.
Oh, look at the energy you have with him.
Yeah, I got him. He
Makes me
a
want to have
client of
a
mine who passed away. This was her cat, Gilly.
Oh, right, right, right,
And
right.
I told him when she was in the hospital, I said, Gilly, if anything happens, don't worry. You have a place to stay. You can
Oh,
come live with me. And then I didn't think it would actually happen, but then she did actually pass. And he looked at me like, well, you promised. And I was like, you're right, I did. So come on, you're coming home. He always adored me. Whenever I'd come there, he thought he's like, oh, he's coming for me. He's here for me.
Devin, I like this background here that you're sitting in right now.
Oh, you like it?
I do.
Oh yeah, it's a tapestry.
Yeah, that's a nice background. If we're, I mean,
Yeah.
if this, if this is a setup and I don't get to see anything else, if we decide, well, next Saturday, let's just do a podcast and forget about it. That looks pretty good. I've got stuff in the background, but I could do a nothing back here. Blur, you know how you do that on Zoom?
Yeah. Well, and you can be like a tropical paradise. They have all
Yeah,
sorts of things.
I could change that, but
Oh, you
um,
want to see my Christmas tree?
yes.
There she is.
Oh, it's very nice. Oh, your house is festive. Where's Romero? Is he home today?
Yes, he's in the bedroom.
Okay. Does Romero want to get on camera for a minute? Say hi, just to see
Let
how
me
he looks on camera.
let me find him. Romeo? Romeo? How's it going? You want to see Renata? Want to say hi, Renata?
We're playing camera people right today.
We're playing camera, people.
Yeah,
Come
that's good.
sit.
The lighting is pretty good right where you're at too.
Yeah.
When you go in other parts of the house, it's not as moving around, but you look like you gotta, because it'd be.
Renata.
Hi, honey. How have you been?
Good, and you?
I'm decent. You guys look cute. We could have kind of like we could have a lover's corner. I don't know. That could be kind of fun.
All
Anyhow,
right.
at the end, just a little, he could be on just for us at the end. Just a little something cute thing.
Yeah, little Brazilian tail.
Oh, a Brazilian. Oh, I like it. You didn't mean it in that double meaning, but it did come out
Oh,
that
not
way.
the double meaning, no.
I got you. I got you.
He's got he's got some interesting stories from Brazil for sure.
Yeah. So we could bring you on every now and then to share. It just depends on how comfortable you feel, hanging out between us two, who is so verbal and verbose. How
Não,
do you
but
say how would you say happy holidays in Brazilian?
you say Feliz Natal for Christmas, and for Christmas and New Year's, which is another event. It's a big party in Brazil. It's the New Year's is called Réveillon. So
Réveillon?
We only say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. So it's Feliz Natal and Feliz Festas or Boas Festas.
Okay, we're
Uh,
gonna have a lesson. We're gonna teach people to speak Brazilian or Portuguese slowly.
Feliz Natal.
So slowly, like you get to come on the show and it's like a
yeah.
word like love or something universal. I don't know. It could be fuck you too. That's okay. But then you have to break it down for us. Would that be fun?
Will be very fun. I
Okay.
love it.
Like and sitting
It'd be
like
kind
that,
of fun
and it's
and
like,
silly.
oh,
Like
it's time for our language lesson now.
it's time for our little pinch of Brazil. And then he comes on, he's like, hi, I am Romeo. Today's word is Feliz Natal.
But then I love that. I love the accent. It's kind of humorous, but we're serious. We're not
Yeah.
laughing at you, we're laughing with you. I love it. Just adds to the energy. It's perfect. Could we get like a couple of cards, if like whatever the word is, so you put it up so people could actually, I'm serious about the sharing
Yeah.
teaching so that people actually, oh, I learned a word. I learned a new word.
Yes.
That we want to unify. And there's a lot of people from different cultures and no one even knows how to say hi. You know what I
Right.
mean? I remember, I do recall when I was doing massage next to the cleaners, and Henry, an Asian gentleman, was really cool. And he got in an accident and he knew I did massage and I took, insurance and all that, right? So he came to see me. He had to get naked because that's how I worked. And the first time he did, and he got under the covers, but then he didn't show up for his next two appointments. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, oh gosh, Renata, you're not really bright. The whole Asian culture with the woman and the whole thing was like just way too much for him. To have
Oh,
women
yeah.
massage, yeah, just like it was way too much. And then my shiny butt just, it's way too much for him. We're still
You don't
friends.
like
I see
massage?
him and, he still owns the cleaners. But I was just thinking about
Oh, it's,
cultural etiquette. Like sometimes looking people directly in the eye is not of the culture. Americans do that all the time. But, bowing the head for
Yeah.
respect is kind of that, I'm just straight in the eye and, you know. So, cultural sensitivity is something that we can learn a little bit by playing, knowing some words and being around different people and asking some questions and sharing the energy. This would be sharing the energy. It's
yeah,
not forceful, it's just what we're doing, and we're just sharing that with you. So many people have no idea what it is, what harmony looks like or feels like. You two are a really great example of what that harmony looks like. I've been around you, what it feels like. I took pictures of you. It's like, oh, how sweet. That is so
mm,
real. People don't have that. They don't see
yeah,
that in our media. They see the mask, even on the TikTok and the social media. Everybody gets and does their lashes on, their hair. Nobody's fucking like they look.
right.
Who you pretending? People don't have perfect teeth and perfect lashes and perfect hair. Like what is going on here? I'm canceling all that fake shit.
Yeah.
Cancel.
Well, that brings up an interesting point, like culture sensitivity. There's several things like in the Muslim culture. If you sit with your legs crossed and have your foot pointed at a
Ooh,
person, they find that profoundly offensive. If your foot is pointed at them, it
ooh,
means in their culture, it means that you have your foot over them, that you view yourself better than them. Another one is they never shake hands with the left hand because that's a hand only for hygiene.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if you go to shake with your left hand, it means you're like, oh, I'm shaking you with my shit hand. And so interesting. There's lots of things like that.
Like here, for example, when
And
you also,
I'm
oh,
missing
go on.
I'm missing her,
when
Marilyn.
you
Like, okay.
say thank you here, some people say uh-huh. No. You say thank you, and some people say you're welcome, but it's uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, my husband's I get on him and that I'm like, oh, we're into the now, are we, honey? Okay.
That's
Mm-hmm.
not horrible, but it's very
Mhm.
when you come from in Brazil, that means like, oh, the person is angry, he's mad at you, you know?
Oh, like the evil eye in Greek. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
Mm.
we understand after a few weeks here. No?
Yeah,
I mean the West, yeah.
some people aren't just very expressive. I mean, their energy's pretty closed down, regardless of what they say. They're just not home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
it's the
that
culture.
too.
In
Yeah.
Japan, it's very rude to touch your nose when you talk to someone.
Oh, and also when we did the Japanese tours, or a couple of Japanese events, it's like this. You don't show your face when you're laughing because we'd say something funny and they would laugh and they'd be like, George and I have this he will when we're just pretending and making fun of ourselves as laughing. He'll say something like, and I'll go like,
Oh yeah.
then he'll go,
In Brazil,
just
it's called the
it's fun, it's fun.
yeah.
Ooh,
In Brazil, if you don't
I know they
smile,
don't show
then
their
you're
teeth.
rude.
They're like,
what we see?
In Brazil, if you don't smile and you smile like this, it's rude, no?
ah,
Um,
yeah. See,
but
and
then people used to ask if I was mad lots of times if I was mad because I have this face, I have sad eyes, no,
okay,
like
I get you. I
eyes
see.
that look sad, yeah. And also I have no the face that when I shave my hair, people really see my lips, my whole face. So they think, oh, you mad because you're not smiling. But I try to smile, but it's a different smile, no?
See, you
It's
gotta feel people
pain
from the
that
heart.
really
I
hurt.
get you. You're good. It's like once you're around
Yeah.
someone, when they're resonating, smile. It's like we don't have to read each other so much, and that's part of our surveillance survival mode. Is like you got to be able to read people out there because they'll come at you trying to like grab shit that you're not offering. It's like, ooh, I did not invite you in. So I always have my radar on. But now I'm learning to drop the radar and just trust that I've attracted people in my life that I enjoy, like you two. And we're talking about doing a show, and I think it would be fun. And that's what this planet
Yes,
is about. Honestly, I just think we
I
should go.
love it. I'm very excited. I love it. I love it. I love it.
All right. So we
And
did. we did an hour and 8 minutes, and I'm gonna take the record off, Lisa, and then we can wrap it up.
Sure.
Okay, but I'm gonna not record anymore. Let's stop recording.